Hello and welcome to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, also streamed on Expert CRE Secrets podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax referral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax referral strategy such as the Deferred Sales Trust is the best way for you to exit your highly appreciated business, real estate, cryptocurrency, defer millions of dollars of capital gains tax. Not using the 1031 exchange, you can create and preserve more wealth or help your clients, friends, and family do the same. Hey, I'm your host, Brett Swarts, and each episode I'm joined by some of the best business, real estate, financial, and sometimes marketing minds in the world where they share their ideas, deal stories, and inspiration. So together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. I'm excited about our next guest. He's out of the great state of Minnesota. He's the founder and CEO at Drop Funnels. And he and Drop Funnels, it's one of the fastest growing sales funnels and marketing platforms online. And we're going to be talking about the power of constructing truly irresistible offers, okay? And so much more with our guest, Jordo. And I'll let Jordo pronounce his last name. Jordo, how you doing, brother?
Very well. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it, Brett.
And last name real fast, and also tell us a little bit about your story and your current focus.
Sure. So my name is Jordan Mederich, but no one can pronounce my last name as we experience here. So I should probably change the last name to Smith or something. But also Jordan itself, it's funny how many people misspell that. They spell it with a Y or an O or an I. So I changed it to Jordo, not legally, but just in the public eye. And now suddenly, Jordo is kind of taken off. So everyone can, my name is Jordan Mederich. People can call me Jordo if they want. I really, in this conversation, I love that you're talking about the DST because I've just dipped my toes into that sphere. And I think it's a really interesting, but it seems like a very closely guarded concept as it relates to capital gains that I had never known growing up. None of the investor friends that I had or have even knew about that until I dug really, really deep to find out more about the DST. So that's very powerful. But, Drop Funnels is much more on the active side of income generation, less on the investment side and passive vehicles. But it's all about how do you construct for yourself in your business? Because I'm guessing most of those listening here, you probably have an active business and you probably have some investments off to the side. So how do you maximize the potential for your active money business to therefore then put more into passive investment vehicles? So Drop Funnels is a marketing platform you can build your website, you can build sales funnels, digital courses, sales pipelines, your blog, and it's a kind of an all-in-one ecosystem, or I'd call it more of like a most in one. It has almost everything, but we really want to focus on doing great at the things that we're really good at. And for us, it's this concept of selling your products or services through a sales funnel we find to be one of the highest possible conversion rates versus like traditional websites, which tend to just be a huge leaky bucket.
Amazing. And if you want to learn more about Jordo, you can go to dropfunnels.com. That's dropfunnels.com. Let's dive right into the topic, the power of constructing truly irresistible offers. So Jordo, what's the number one secret to doing that?
So I think it's critical to come back with some baseline, some precedent to set, which is that if we're talking about active money systems where people are buying from you a particular product or service, we know that a better offer wins across the board universally. If I've got a better offer than the next guy, I'm going to win hands down. But it's not as much about just being cheaper than the next guy. There are other ways to ensure that you are held to kind of an elite status versus just becoming a commodity. So kind of part of what I call the perfect offer formula, which is just something I use internally to help us to define and refine our own internal offers, but also others who are looking to improve their kind of active money game. There's essentially three quadrants, and there's a kind of the trifecta of the perfect offer, meaning that you want to win in at least two out of the three ways of the trifecta. So you can either be better, you can be faster, or you can be more price. The price to value comparison is greater. So what do we mean by that? if you have to choose one of these, the very best opportunity for you to separate yourself from anyone else is just to be better. I've had a software solution, for example, that was, we run a software company. So sometimes people's credit card payments fail, right? So it's like their subscription lapses for whatever reason. And we had a software that would go out and send out some automated emails to try to like reclaim some of that subscription revenue. But it wasn't super effective. Maybe it could reclaim about 5% of the lost funds, for example. But this other team came along and they said, hey, we'll charge you between $1,000 and $2,000 or whatever a month. And they manually reach out to these members to create the very greatest possible outcome. And they actually recover about 50%. So, I mean, I was losing right when I started with them, probably $15,000 a month in just lost credit card failures, or they got a new card or they just need to update it. And so they provided a service that makes it literally irresistible for me to, if I don't do it, I'm stupid to not do it. So I think all of us can think about, how can something be better? How can it perform better? How can we ensure that the service is better? The second caveat to that, or the second portion of the trifecta, is being faster. And so, for us as an example of this, although it happens to be quite internal, a lot of people who are running sales funnels, they're using ClickFunnels or Kajabi or maybe Samcart or some of these other platforms. And one of the biggest things that they're missing is page load speed. So the physical speed, not only for your end consumers, but the speed of delivery always will allow you to win. So if you can help me, Brett, to lose 20 pounds in 3 months versus someone else who says you can lose 20 pounds in 12 months, who's going to get my business? Well, clearly someone who has a strategy to make it come sooner to me is faster. In the same way that our pages and drop funnels, they happen to load very fast, which means that your consumers can get what they're looking for much sooner. And we're talking about hundreds of milliseconds where the difference is really being made. And so, but a lot of these systems, they'll load your pages in 10 or 12 seconds. We'll load it typically in under 3 seconds. Sometimes it's about a second. And with that, it means that your conversion rates can increase. But overall, we're improving the offer. We're saying, hey, how can we deliver a result faster? The final caveat is pretty clear. You can choose, if you happen to be in a commodity market like gas or oil or one of these things, it's always about being cheapest, right? Where can you get the exact same thing for less? Now, we don't want to really focus too much on commodity offers. And the biggest goal is to move you away from being a commodity where people can get the exact same thing elsewhere, and they're only comparing based on price, not on quality or on the speed. So I always recommend to people that you really should not be, if you're going to be the cheapest, great. So you're admitting you're a commodity, and maybe that's fine for you, be a commodity. Okay. But you're always going to have to be the cheapest, and it's always going to be a price comparison. Whereas you can separate yourself out by actually being the most expensive, for example. So you can actually be more price competitive to the upper side. You can be the most expensive, and you'll get people coming to you because there's this assumption of higher value for higher investment. And I think we look at iPhone versus Android. I mean, a lot of Android or PC related products tend to be significantly cheaper, even with higher tech specs. They tend to run, everyone's got, I know it's a big battle out there, but PC and Android type products, I'm a fan myself. I could build the exact same computer that Mac would sell me for $6,000 or $10,000 for like $2,000, right? I could build that or have that built for me. And so Amazon or Android PC, they're kind of playing the commodity game, whereas Apple, they're playing the elite game. Being the most expensive is actually an advantage to them. So if you can do one of those three, great. If you can do two of those things, even better. But if you can be best at all three of those, you've got what I would consider a perfect offer.
So let me make sure I caught that. By the way, you can learn more about Jordo by going to dropfunnels.com, dropfunnels.com. So it sounds like there's really 3 quadrants. The one is better, right? Better service, better performance, better overall, experience, right? Number 2 would be faster. So getting the thing faster, getting to the experience faster, being able to deliver faster. And the last one would be price value comparison, what you're getting for what you're paying for. And doesn't necessarily mean you want to be cheaper. You actually just want to have a lot of value. And then sometimes that means the most expensive. Am I way off, Jordo, or how does that sound so far?
So 100%. So you mentioned the DST, for example. So when I first found out about the DST, Deferred Sales Trust, a couple months ago, that is an example of the perfect offer formula. It's better. It's going to help you to avoid a lot of capital gains tax. It's faster, whereas you can set it up in a matter of weeks instead of a matter of setting up a Rockefeller trust strategy or something insane, right? It's going to take you 6 months to set that up, and it's cheaper, right? Generally, there's no up in most cases, I guess. I don't know everybody's deal, but it tends to be no cost up front, and there just happens to be like a management fee kind of ongoing with it. So the DST, as a great correlation and example, is a perfect offer. And if more people knew about that potential offer, especially entrepreneurs, people in the software space looking to exit, a lot of people would be jumping onto that train versus some of these other vehicles.
Absolutely. And by the way, it's a good plug for us. It's what we specialize in. If anyone wants to get started with the Deferred Sales Trust, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. We love helping people exit businesses, crypto, real estate, and we are experts in this. And I would love the opportunity to work with you. And you're right. Hey, we can't set it up in a matter of weeks. However, you do need to do it before contingencies are removed and so there's some guidelines there. And also too, it's interesting, Jordan, I'm curious what you think about this, right? Especially when you deal with people that are exiting, I'm working on a $150 million business right now. And even though the physical nature of being able to deliver and set up a trust really quickly and integrate it into the APA agreement for him, it's the emotional aspect of this. And so I'm curious what you think about this part of it. So it's not just the actual physical product or physical strategy to deliver the service, but the emotional thing of my CPA, my financial advisor, my brother-in-law who doesn't, think it's something else or whatever it might be. Talk about how to create an irresistible obstacle to speed up the know, like, and trust in a way that actually gets your service to people to do the thing versus just, not do the thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, boy, that's I think a critical topic to cover. And the entire perfect offer formula is separate from the concept of the emotional connection or the know, like, and trust factor. So like that is separate. Like if I'm going to compare two people that I fully know, like, and trust, it's why I'm willing to go to a realtor that I happen to know makes a lot of great deals and they're kind of a shark versus, like, as you mentioned, maybe my brother-in-law who's a realtor and I go to him because I happen to, right? I know, like, and trust both of these people, but one of them is going to have a better offer. So, I think as it relates to putting the perfect offer formula kind of off to the side for a moment and saying, how do we get people to know, like, and trust us? Because in some cases, especially, let's talk about, this is a recurring theme in this podcast, it seems, is this concept of the DST. It sounds too good to be true. And some financial vehicles sound too good to be true. Crypto sounded too good to be true. And a lot of, there's a lot of money lost very recently around those fears. But there's like this delicate balance between trusting someone and that trust being validated. So if we put the perfect offer formula off to the side and say that's on the assumption that someone is already going to trust you and believe that you can deliver what you're going to do, I think that there's two verticals here, and this is really where marketing comes into play. The perfect offer formula is when you're actually making the sale, whether it's on a call or you're having someone buy on a checkout form. All those parts of the offer are when they're making that actual buying decision. Before that, there's what I call horizontal and vertical marketing. So we're always fighting two things. And if anyone takes away a gold nugget from this, hopefully this is the most helpful. You're fighting for two things. Number one is a great offer. You want to have the best offer. That's that first part of the conversation we just had, because the better offer is always going to win. Number two is this relational aspect, which is fighting obscurity. Because if I am known for having a great offer, I will be tremendously wealthy. If I'm known for having a bad offer, I'm going to be called a scam artist and people will give me a bad reputation. If I have a great offer, but I'm not known, then I'm broke, right? And if I have a bad offer and no one knows about me, I'm still broke, but I also have a crappy business, right? So we want these things to be in parallel where people know about us. We're not obscure and they know that we have a great offer. So with that, this kind of horizontal and vertical marketing, horizontal is very much about shouting to the world, to more people. This is what we call opportunity volume. How many people can we let know that this thing exists? Just like the DST. If I had known about this, gosh, 3 years ago, I probably would have saved a lot of tax on my own crypto stupidity and exiting too soon because I didn't know. I literally didn't know. So that was a loss for me. But if I had known, I could have protected myself, right? That's a great example. So we need to let more people know that this thing exists, not even to get them to buy it or to interact with it in any way. This exists and it's legitimate. Okay. Then we dive into vertical marketing. So we're taking those people who came on the horizontal plane, they've heard our message, and we dive into deeper relationship with them. A lot of that is based on customer journey. How do we get someone who's just finding out about us to get some kind of a micro wins? And sometimes that's information. Sometimes it's like they actually get a financial benefit, or it's a time benefit, or someone helps solve a problem for them. What are the things that we can do to drive deeper into that relationship? And that's ultimately where the perfect offer formula being stacked into depth of relationship really aligns. But I'm fully convinced that all businesses who are doing extremely, extremely well have nailed these two areas: horizontal and vertical relationship building, plugging in what I call the perfect offer formula directly into the bottom of that sphere. You've got like this kind of alien-like shape of this thing where you could put in unlimited leads. This is how people are positive on the front end on their ad spend, for example, or they have so much referral traffic that they never even need to spend on paid ads because they're doing this. There's enough people finding out about it, drilling down to a deeper relationship, and then offering them something that's near perfect.
Wow, that's so rich and amazing. Horizontal offer where you're getting the opportunity volume. You're having a chance to connect with people, increase that know, like, and trust, or more so increase that actual knowledge of the actual product itself. And then the vertical would be increasing that know, like, and trust in the brand. Or sometimes, I guess, I imagine sometimes they cross over, but you got to have a strategy for both, if I'm hearing you correctly.
Yeah, exactly. So just letting more people know about it means you're going to get more opportunity volume, which then allows you to drill in much deeper. So in the financial sector, great example of a sales funnel for this is it's very relational. It's not a ton of pages. It's very simple. I need to let a lot of people know that this thing exists. The DST, great example. I need to let more people, I'd be going into SaaS communities, crypto communities, and saying, look, how would you like to pay 4% instead of 40% on your exit, right? Like that's letting more people know about this thing, and then jumping on a one-on-one conversation to let them know about the details and that it's legitimate. Here's these case studies. Here's how this works. That's how we're drilling in deeper. And then we ultimately say, hey, we can do this for you. You can go ahead and go do it the way that you want to do it, or you used to want to do it, which was giving the government most of your money, like too much of it, versus this strategy, which is legal. It's been established for a very long time. There's a lot of people who've made tremendous benefit by using this particular strategy. Would you like us to exercise this for you on your behalf?
Amazing. I think I'm gonna make a video on that right after this, Jodo. So how would you like to know about, how to defer capital gains taxes and save and defer, hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars of tax? And that could be the intro or the hook, right? And then you could have, hey, it's legal, it's legit. A lot of people have done it. It's, thousands of closes, 27 years, all the IRS track record. Hey, click below if you want to see if it could work for your one-on-one consultation. I mean, that could be as simple as that. And you just continually to post that into SaaS communities, crypto communities, real estate communities, tech communities. So more people can see that and raise their hand and say, yeah, I'd be interested to know more.
Yeah. I mean, especially for people, you'd want to tailor, I think, the conversation specific to those niches. But Dan Martell, who's a kind of a bit of a colleague of mine, who runs a huge SaaS infrastructure. He coaches a ton of SaaS people. If you were to get one post into his podcast or YouTube or whatever, that would be connecting into his space where it's like all these SaaS founders, their only goal is to exit. SaaS is the world's worst business model from a cash flow and cost per acquisition model. It's the worst possible thing that you could choose, but you're willing to embrace that for the potentiality of an outgoing exit. But if I'm going to get that exit, I need the biggest win possible, because it'd be far easier to create some high ticket offer and go sell that than selling a SaaS product and hoping for crazy mass adoption where you're spending $300 to get $100 a month client, hoping they stick around, right? So I'd be tailoring that message specifically to those audiences, and maybe even niching down into those. But crypto and SaaS are probably the two biggest ones. I'm sure real estate's a close third.
Yeah, no. So I found that to be so true, that business sales and even going niching down more into tech and SaaS makes more sense, right? Because it's such a big risk reward. Where real estate, you at least have a 1031 exchange, right? And you have an option for that, but it doesn't work for primary homes. We work for primary homes. Yeah, but we've done crypto, we've done business, and those seem to be the easiest sales, if you will, right? I mean, it's just so simple. They have really no great option, and then they give a great option. Whereas at least in real estate also tends to be kind of the old guard, like. The people,
Yep.
Crypto and tech, they're more like innovative and thinking outside the box, right? Not that we're necessarily outside the box. It's just when the people in the real estate world, I grew up in real estate, it's like, oh, that must be too good to be true. And we wait another 30 years to make sure that works. Like, it's been almost 30 years and it has worked. Like, but my other people haven't done it. They tend to be more like, the guy at the golf club or the guy at their real estate meetup or their CPA's got to really rubber stamp it before they do things in general, until they meet us. And then most of them realize that we're just like them, we're real estate people, and they go, oh, and you guys move forward. So then they feel a little bit better. But that being said, I think that's so well said. Let's dive right into dropfunnels.com too. So to kind of put all the pieces together. So if someone is saying, yes, oh my gosh, Joe, you're speaking, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm in real estate, I'm looking to grow my business, I want to do all these things, and I want to make it very seamless, right? So step one, they set up a time with either one of your team or they just sign up and they start, merging over their website into DropFunnels. They get, quicker response times. They're getting email automation. It has a CRM. They're doing and building, things just quicker. Just talk about how you guys are going to help accelerate all of what's happening here.
Yeah. So specifically it's not exactly for investor types. It's much more for people who are in the active money game. So, an example would be like, say that you have a consultancy or some type of practice where you're consulting people individually. A great way to get set up, there's two options with DropFunnels. You can just sign up and go build your own stuff, or have your team institute some of those things for you. We got some great training and amazing support. Or you can just, I'd say, hey, if you've gone this far into the podcast, reach out to me and I'd be happy to point you in the direction of how we can just kind of set some of these things up for you. I think one of the best ways to start off is with what I call an authority funnel. So it kind of capitalizes on this concept of horizontal and vertical marketing. So let's assume, great, you have a good offer that totally makes sense. What we do is we say, how do we amplify that offer with the right messaging, with the right design to ensure that people come through? So and actually they get warmed up prior to getting to you, helps you to kick out tire kickers. So the big misnomer in terms of the psychology of sales funnels is that my goal is to get as many people as possible out to the other side. Well, actually it's the contrary. You're trying to eliminate as many people as possible. That's what a sales funnel does, is it kicks people out who are low intent. A website is going to bring to you as many low intent people as you want, right? So if you want low intent people, great, go the website route. But if you're looking to get fewer people who are higher intent, a sales funnel, or what I call an authority funnel, is a great fit. It's a primary page. It's really a 3-step funnel. It's a page that establishes you as the expert, makes you look great, testimonials, quotes, all those things that are built into a single page. It looks and feels like a website, but it operates like a sales funnel. So we only put one call to action, and that's immediately to book or to link over to, maybe it's a freebie guide. Maybe it's like you have a training that's going to explain, for example, what a DST is and how it works, and case studies and testimonials. So they're clicking a single link. They're going over to the next page. That's what we call the indoctrination page. So we've gone from authority to indoctrination. Then we want to move them to action. So they're going to click another button. Again, each one of these steps is a filter. If they're not interested in what you just said, they're going to leave. Great. But someone who is interested in what you want, they're going to continue through the funnel. Great. So we're getting higher intent people. They click on a button and it moves them over to a call booking page, or you could even put that on the indoctrination page directly, where people are able to book a call with you directly, and you can, filter out after the call booking process. But it's very, very simple. An authority funnel being authority page, indoctrination page, call booking page is one of the highest converting and highest ROI sales funnels I've ever seen. And we've not been able to beat it, specifically because you're doing most of the selling in the back. You're doing it based on a consultation, right? So what we're doing is we're getting a lot of people, and we send traffic via Facebook, Google, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, social media marketing, solo ads, emails, whatever. We're getting traffic into this funnel and saying, how many people come through this and what comes out the other side, and how do we ensure that that's profitable. So if someone wants to reach out to me and you're looking to just have this done for you, I'm guessing you're probably pretty high intent, as I were to just say. So if you want, I'm Jordan at dropfunnels.com. And if someone wants to email me or connect with our team, we don't really have publicly available options for this done for you service. We have some partners and whatnot, but hey, if we're here, we got a good relationship kicking off. I often will let my internal team work on external projects. So
very cool.
That's
Jordan, this is amazing. Go to dropfunnels.com. So it sounds like an authority page would be an amazing way to do that. Establish that you're the expert, have testimonials, have one call to action, which leads into like a freebie guide and or like a video overview, which goes into the indoctrination of what exactly that you do, and also starts to weed out those that it's not for, because they're going to be explaining this thing maybe for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, however long it might be, where you're going through it. And it's like, this is why it's for you. This is why it's not for you through this. So that does all the work for you. And you go, look, if after you've heard all this, you want to take the next step, great. Click on this button to schedule one-on-one time with myself or my team members, and we can go to the next step. So they showing up, let's say 70, 80% of the way already there. And then you're filling in the last part of it to close the deal. Is that a fair summary?
You said it better than I did and much faster. So
excellent. By the way, on those guides, I mean, are you putting particular language in there? Like, this is who it's not for, right? Like, whole page on who it's not for. This is who it's for.
Totally.
Yeah, same thing with the video itself. How long are you making the typical video or the explanation? A 5-minute, a 10-minute? Are you how much content are you putting out there? Are you going through like, here's false belief probably you have number 1, or here's false belief number 2. It's too good to be true, like DST. Can't be legal because my CPA hasn't heard about it, or all of how are the funds protected, and I lose all control, or all these things that people think is the reality or is the truth, but the reality is something different. It's exactly what you're doing. You just come to the top 10 and then saying, if you're interested, go forward.
Yeah. So I always recommend kind of what I call the TED Talk test or the lunch break test, right? It's like could someone consume this in under 20 minutes, or what would be within the realm of their lunch break? And it's even more critical for very advanced buyers who are very busy, right? To honor their time and not have an hour-long presentation. You're not going to get anyone who's elite to be able to consume that. So what I recommend is about 18 minutes. I find to be about the sweet spot. You can do less than that. That's fine. I don't recommend really going over that. Definitely not over 22 minutes. It's 18 to 22 is the magic sweet spot. And what a great way to kick off is to be, we can either be clever or we can be clear, right? So we can be clever and use all this marketing jargon and, go buy a copywriting book and try to like leverage those strategies into something. The best thing that you can do, the best copywriting in the world or the best message in the world is clear. So it's like, great. Here's what I'm about to explain to you. Here's how the DST can get you XYZ result. Then what are the 3 big claims or the 3 false beliefs? I think is a great way to go about it. 3 beliefs that people probably are thinking to themselves about this. Is it legitimate? Do I lose control of my money? Am I going to get audited? Right. That's maybe top of mind in the top 3 fears that I would have. Right. And then addressing those to say, no, it's not this way. Here's how it is. And here's proof. So we give the false belief, and then we back that up with a claim to say, no, this is how it really is. And here's proof. So false belief, claim, proof. Do that 3 times in under 18 minutes. And you're already off to the races for, and I don't recommend hiring an actor for this, by the way. You don't need to have super fancy slides. In fact, if you had white slides with black text just on there and you're sitting there scrolling and you just record this on Zoom, looking into the camera, having a conversational conversation, I should say, with someone who's listening in to that conversation, you're gonna get so many more people indoctrinated, not only to your message and your brand, but to you personally, that you're going to get the highest quality and highest intent people. It's not a robot speaking. It's not an actor speaking. It's not like crazy, clever marketing jargon. Make it simple, actionable, clear. Here's exactly how it works. We stand by these results. Book a call to see if it makes sense for you.
So good, Jordan. Appreciate everything. You're all of the dropping all the wisdom with this. Dropfunnels.com to get started. Jordan, that being said, we're running out of time. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Let's go.
All right. Knowing what you know now, if you go back to your 25-year-old self, what's the one gold nugget make sure to tell yourself to do?
Oh boy. I know it's a lightning round, but I would say focus on building something that has longevity. So like think less short-term and more long-term.
Excellent. Question number 2, what's the number 1 book you've recommended or gifted the most in the past year?
I've enjoyed Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. Has been a pretty good financial book. Also right now I'm in Aubrey Marcus's Win the Day, Win Your Life or something like that. It's one of those books, but incredible book about biology and how to get yourself reset. Been using some of those strategies myself and have seen some cool results.
Excellent. What are you most curious about right now?
What's going to happen with this Silicon Valley Bank nonsense? What's going to happen then? And when does the crypto bull run come back? That's what I want to know.
Absolutely. Me too. Second to last question. What's the number 1 leadership quote or theme that you strive to live by?
One that's heavy on me currently is to not hire on potential, but to hire on experience. Because I've had a bit of a bad habit of hiring people that I really like, and they're warm bodies and they've got great potential and maybe some leadership skills, but they're trainable, right? Versus just going out to get the person, and you're going to pay a premium for that person to go do what you want them to do for you. And they have done it before, probably 5, 10, or 20 times in the past. So for me, I think it's just revealing my cards here. I've just done that too often. And now I've learned my lesson. So always hire based on experience, not on potential.
Okay, excellent. Great wisdom. Last question, Jordo. After all the people you've helped, building all the things you've built and doing all the things you've accomplished, I'm curious, how do you stay most centered in your values and then also stay charged up to reach forward for new heights?
I've decided a couple of years ago, because I was in the hustle and grind mode, that I'm just going to make family number 1. And I know a lot of people say that, but they don't actually act that way. So I work maybe 4 to 6 hours a day. The rest of the time I'm spending with my family, period. So we have 3 boys. We have our first girl on the way. We're excited about that. We do homeschooling. We are involved at our church. We close relationships means a lot to us. And so for me, I think I've made enough, generally made enough money to be comfortable. Still got a roof over our head. We've still got food. So there's not really any survival issues that could occur. But what does matter to me, because I love that phrase, you can't take it with you, that at the end of the day, we need to be stewards of these assets and to leverage these assets into building additional wealth and helping other people. But, for me, I think family is just so critical. In fact, right after this, I'm going to go play in the snow with these kids. So for me, I've just made a very conscious decision that I'm never again going to have a 16-hour day ever. Like a lot of people would judge that and say like, hey, that's not wise. I would say, hey, you know what? I think for people who overwork themselves, it's often because their value is put in some asset here on earth that is fleeting and is a house of cards, as we've just seen with SVB. And what really matters when the rest of the world were to fall apart, what really matters to you, and to focus your energies there.
Jordo, amazing wisdom. That in itself right there was worth the entire interview and so much more. I want to thank you for being on the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast. I want to thank you for sharing so much wisdom, diving into the power of constructing truly irresistible offers. I want to encourage all of our listeners to go to dropfunnels.com and get started with Jordo. Check them out. And I want to encourage you, Jordo, to just keep helping more people make a big impact and staying focused on what matters most to you. Any last words for our listeners before we let you go?
No, I'm out of words. I've spent them all, but I'm grateful to be here, and it's been great to connect with you.
Excellent. Also, thank our listeners for listening to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast. I want to encourage you to get started right now if you want to find a way to exit in a way that's going to give you some freedom, some flexibility. If you're curious at all about what the Deferred Sales Trust is, this DST thing we've been talking about, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. Also, check out, I'm going to make a video that Jordo just said, right? So look for that drop in about a week. I'm committing to do that. I'm going to try to do this white slide presentation with black text, and let's see how it all turns out. And I want to encourage you to take action too. You heard something today that encouraged or inspired you, you felt convicted about. Take action, whether that be with your family, whether that be with your business, whether that be creating funnels, getting your message out there. You want to make sure that you take action on this information that was you just heard from us. So I encourage you to take action on that.